Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. This is Josie's Point of View, where we focus on human interest stories from the Carolinas and beyond. Today's Saturday, and it's May the 16th, 2026. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you're new to my channel, I want to thank you so much for stopping by. I hope you find the information here to be informative. And if you're a returning viewer, by all means, thank you for coming back. You know, I always say the tide changes so frequently on these YouTube streets that you always have to acknowledge where your support comes from. And I want you to know I sincerely thank you for your support. So feel free to like and to share this video. And don't forget to subscribe. And our story today is coming out of the town of Morven here in North Carolina. Take a look at the headline. And it reads, North Carolina Fire Chief arrested on drug trafficking and explosive charges. I'll provide you with a summary here, and I'll identify some of my sources for you in the description box. And our story today takes us to the town of Morven here in North Carolina. It's a small rural town which is located in Arson County in the south central region of the state near the South Carolina border. They said it's approximately 70 miles from Asheboro. Established in 1883, the population is estimated to be less than 700. And we're specifically focusing on the Morven Volunteer Fire Department. It has a 501c3 nonprofit status established in 1970, and the mission is to provide emergency assistance to all citizens in the community as needed. And the chief of the fire department is this man pictured here. His name is William Stubbs. Not sure of his age or how long he's been in that position, but it does not appear to have been a recent appointment. Now, the chief has gotten himself into a whole lot of trouble. He has been arrested and he has been charged with some very serious crimes. And if he's found guilty, he's definitely going to jail. But in all transparency, this will not be anything new because the chief is already a convicted felon, having spent a considerable amount of time behind bars in the past. So let me share the news report of this recent incident, and then I'll share comments from the local residents. So let's start at the beginning. Apparently, there had been a set of suspicious fires in the town of Morven. Now, it involved three abandoned buildings belonging to three different people. Now, we're not exactly sure of the timelines for the first two, but the third building was set on fire in February of this year. Now, this triggered an investigation from numerous agencies because you have a small community and all of a sudden buildings are just being destroyed by fire. People were concerned. So, numerous agencies were now trying to find a root cause before additional buildings were destroyed, and it was determined that the fires appeared to be suspicious. Investigators soon concluded that the fires had been deliberately set. Now, we're not sure of all the evidence that was collected, but as I already mentioned, numerous agencies were involved. And at some point in the investigation, it was determined that the fire chief, William Stubbs, was somehow involved and that he did not act alone, that he had accomplices. And I'm sure this investigation took a while longer because when you're speaking about a fire chief, investigators needed to be sure of their facts. There could be no mistakes. It was specifically stated that some type of explosive device and an accelerant was used, and then a warrant was issued for his arrest. And last month, on April the 27th, 2026, while police were making the arrest of the fire chief, they discovered that Stubbs had in his possession a large quantity of opioid pills, leading to a drug trafficking charge. They also discovered that he had a firearm in his possession as well. And as I mentioned in the beginning of this video, Stubbs is a convicted felon, so he was not permitted to have a weapon, and hence there was an additional charge. And here are all the charges that he faced: 3 counts of felony conspiracy, 2 counts of felony malicious use of explosives causing property damage, possession of a firearm by a convicted felon, felony trafficking opioids. And when he appeared before a judge for his bond hearing, he was issued a bond of $42,500. Now, the community began asking a lot of questions. First, they wanted to know about his prior conviction since he's now charged with possession of a firearm by a felon. And this is what has been reported in the media. They say he had a previous felony conviction back on February the 21st of 1995 in Scotland County, for which he received a sentence of 12 years in prison. So that's why he could not have a firearm in his possession. Now, people have been speculating as to the reasons why he went to prison, exactly what caused him to go to jail for such a lengthy sentence. And even though there have been a lot of speculations, none of the news sources cited the specific reason for the conviction, so I won't mention it either. And then again, people also wanted to know, how is it that a convicted felon was appointed as the fire chief? Well, one can only speculate, and here are a few possible reasons. Maybe no one bothered to check his credentials, and the fire chief never volunteered. That's a possibility. I don't know that to be true. Another reason is that maybe in a small town such as this, no one really wanted a job and the position had to be filled. The town had a volunteer fire department and it was in need of a leader. Maybe William Stubbs was the person who stepped forward and expressed a willingness to accept the position. Maybe this was an assignment based on default because nobody else wanted it. And just because someone has a checkered past, that does not diminish their drive for leadership or their willingness to serve their community. Again, this is an assumption. I don't know that to be true. And thirdly, maybe no one actually cared that he had prior conviction. We don't know anything about his work experience, so maybe he had the qualification and everything else was simply overlooked. And this is a very small town. Keep that in mind. Not much excitement except for these three buildings that went up in flames. So maybe the fact that he was a convicted felon who served time in prison did not really matter. And as I was doing my research for the story, I found evidence that this same town had another scandal about a decade ago where the fire chief, he was under investigation by the state for embezzlement of funds. And as a result of concerns at that time, it was determined that the county would oversee all financial records of all of the fire departments to ensure all of the funds were being spent appropriately. And so the fire chief is now out on bond as he awaits his next court appearance and his upcoming trial. No follow-up court dates are currently available at this time. Investigators say to expect additional arrests since they do believe Stubbs had accomplices, and they say that the investigation is ongoing. I'll try to stay on top of this case and I'll bring you updates whenever they become available. And that's all I have for you right now. Feel free to leave me a comment below and let me know what you think about this video. And by all means, feel free to like it or to share it. And if you haven't done so already, I want to invite you to subscribe to my channel by clicking on that red subscribe button. It's on the bottom right-hand corner of your screen. And if you click on the bell that looks just like this one, that's the notification bell. If you click on that notification bell, you'll be the first to know whenever a new video is uploaded. I thank you for watching, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.